Hey guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Tiffany. I haven't introduced myself on this channel in quite a while, so if you're new here, you probably know my name, but this is just where I do weird stuff, and today I'm going to be talking about questions that you guys have about RISD. I go to RISD, also known as Rhode Island School of Design, and I'm a freshman currently, if you didn't know, and today I'm going to be answering some of your questions that you guys have about RISD. I vlog here a lot, and I do go here, and like I live my life here, but I don't talk about it on the internet a lot because I don't want that to be all what my channel's about. But today I figured I should answer some of your pressing questions that you guys have, because when I got into RISD and I was trying to look for like what daily RISD life was like, it was really hard to find. Let's just get into it. I have gathered a couple questions from my Instagram, and if you're not following my Instagram, I will link it right here, but feel free to go follow it. I do polls and stuff all the time, and so if you guys want to be in my videos, you should definitely follow my Instagram. Also, before we start, I just want to say I'm not a RISD administrator, nor am I part of the administration group, so I thought that was given, but like when it comes to scholarships and like if you can get in and things like that, I don't know anything. I'm not here to judge your portfolio. However all that stuff works, I have no idea. So please don't ask me those questions because I don't know. Alright, let's get into it. Is it possible to study at RISD if you come from abroad? Yes, we have a huge population of international students, so I mean, definitely can. I don't see why not. What is your least favorite thing about RISD? Currently, as you can hear, I have a dorm facing the construction, and that's really annoying. And also, the freshman dorms don't have AC, so it's fine in the winter because we have heating, but in the summer we don't have AC. And I have really sensitive skin, so it's gonna really hurt in the summer. But that's only for freshman year. It's only for like a month or two at Rhode Island, so like, what's your favorite thing about RISD? I really like not being the art kid anymore. Like in high school, I was the art kid because I was the only person who did art, so everyone only knew me for art. But I didn't like that. I don't like having only one thing be my identity. I really like that at RISD, everyone's the art kid, so you have more to your personality than just doing one thing, which I think is really, really beneficial for life and stuff. So I'm really glad that there's like an array of people and you can find your interests outside of just art at RISD, because since it is an art school, it's given that everyone already does art. Like if you went to like a normal college and you did art, you'd still just be like the art kid, and I don't like being the art kid. So are winters really that tough? Winters are okay. They're not too bad in my opinion. I come from the East Coast, so I'm not that far off, but I'm from Atlanta, which is also considered the South, so I like warm weather a lot for obvious reasons, but I don't mind the winters here at Rhode Island just because we also don't spend that much time outside. There's no reason to be outside for super long if you don't like it. You don't have to go anywhere except for your studios, and those aren't that far away. Although it is really cold and it does go to like the 10s, maybe lower sometimes, it typically isn't that bad, and you only have to walk for at most maybe 10 minutes outside. So what is it like in the general area of the school, just in Providence as a whole? Providence is a really weird city. I'm from Atlanta. That's like a city, you know, where like people like have parties and like do all this stuff. And in Providence, it's pretty quiet for a city. It's really like relaxed. RISD is on the outskirts of Providence, so we're not like in downtown, but we are like a walking distance away from downtown. I think the people here are a lot nicer than they are in Atlanta. What are your practices in becoming so skillful in art? Are there any unique strategies? I don't have any unique strategies, I think. I've been doing art since I was 3, and I've been taking professional classes since I was 6. So up until college, I've been in a private studio learning outside of my regular public high school. I learned a lot of hyperrealism and stuff at a young age, and how to like draw from life and things like that. So I learned the foundations of like fine arts, and then built upon that my like illustration interest. Because obviously the only way to get better is to practice. I think the thing that made me practice the most is just finding things I genuinely liked and then doing them. And when you're doing the thing you like over and over again, it doesn't really feel like practice, it just feels like you're having fun. And also being critical of yourself, not to the point where it drags you down and you don't want to like do anything anymore, but like you should be understanding that like you can always improve and there's things to improve on. Yeah, just practice. Practice is really important. What's the hardest thing about college? Time management I would say is probably the hardest thing, especially at a school like RISD where like you want to do your own thing. Sometimes you can't and sometimes you can. So it's very inconsistent in how much free time you have. That's very dependent on each person and each class. Do you think it's hard to get into RISD if you don't have good grades? I think grades are pretty important. I have a couple videos about my grades that I will link above. I have one about what I did in high school, so all my extracurriculars and stuff, and then my portfolio video. If you guys haven't seen my portfolio video, I would definitely recommend watching that too before you watch this, just because it would really help you understand like me as a person. In my portfolio video, if you go to the description box, you will see all my grades and extracurriculars and stuff. So if you're curious about like my SAT score and my grades and things like that, I put them all in the description of my portfolio video that, like I said, I have linked in the beginning of this video and also in the description box. I put a bunch of resources that I've made for you guys there. RISD definitely cares a lot about grades. RISD is one of the most academically competitive art schools, which I really like because then you have a lot of educated students together that aren't just having art in common. Like there's also grades and like a good work ethic and like all that stuff like together as a person and as a community. So it's nice to be around people that are like you. During your time at RISD, have you seen other RISD vloggers besides yourself? Any collabs in the future? I've definitely seen some RISD vloggers, RISD YouTube people, RISD whatever. I've seen Cat Creature around a lot. You guys ask about that. I would love to collab with people, but I'm pretty sure most people have no idea who I am, so yeah. What's your #1 tip to get into art college? If you like what you do, you won't have any problems, like at all. Like if you truly enjoy doing art and you've been doing it for a while and you have skill and you can show it, then you'll be okay. Do you get stressed over your project / homework a lot? How long does it take to do them? I get really stressed, but I'm also a very high stress person. My life is very routine at this point, so I try not to get stressed because I plan things out and I know what I'm gonna do every day. I definitely get stressed out about projects and homework just because I want to put my best foot forward, and it's hard to make something you truly love with limited amount of time sometimes if you're a meticulous worker like me. Like there's also experimental workers who like knock something out really fast, but I like to be detail oriented and focus on my craft and things like that. So I definitely get stressed because of time restraints. And how long does it take for me to do my projects? Well, that depends on how much time the professors give me. Usually our projects are 1 to 2 weeks, and then for our midterm and final it'll be 3 weeks. As for the amount of time I spend, it really depends on the project. Like I typically only focus on one project at a time, even though I have 3 studio classes and they all overlap and things like that. I typically pick one that I really enjoy doing, and I will focus most of my time on that. And the other 2 I will do to my full like capacity. If it's not something I'm extremely interested in, I'm not gonna like pour my heart into it, you know. Still gonna get things done, still gonna do my best, but just I spend more time on the things I enjoy doing. That's also a lot of the same advice I've heard from other RISD people when I first got in, is that like you just pick 1 or 2 that you really enjoy doing and you work on those the most, and the other ones just don't spend too much time on, because you're not going to be able to have time to do your 100% best on every single project, you know. So how long does it take to do them? I take as much time as the professors allow me to have. How do you convince your parents to go to art school? I also made a whole video about this that I will link right here, where basically I talk about how I ended up being able to go into art, but basically what I personally did was I just kind of like showed them what I could do. So I entered a lot of competitions and I won a lot of things, and slowly that like helped them understand that this was something I could do with my life. I wasn't really discouraged from doing art because I've been doing it my entire life, but it was also always assumed that it was just going to be a hobby for me until like certain turning points in my life. So I talk about that a lot in this video if you want to go look at it. How is college in terms of adjusting to culture, distance from family, etc., long distance? College has been good. I get to go home pretty often, and I am in a relationship. I'm in a long distance relationship, but we're doing great. We see each other pretty often. It's not too bad. It's better than I thought it was gonna be. How do you manage your time with your pieces, and how do you keep your creativity flowing? I think creativity comes a lot from not being able to do personal art. I don't have a lot of time to like sketch and stuff anymore, so when I do get to do projects, I kind of try to pour everything into it, And when I manage my time, I don't really manage my time. Like I said, I kind of pick which one I care about the most. How do you manage time in art college? So how to manage time in general is quite different. I'm a person of routine, like I've talked about, so I've found ways to make time for everything. That just results in me not getting too much free time, if that makes sense, because that's not one of my priorities. My priorities are mainly school, YouTube, and fitness. Those are like my 3 things that are really important to me, so I just kind of figure out what time during the day I have to do all those things. Most of it does go to school just because that's how school works, you know, most of your time is spent doing homework and stuff. It's bearable, I think. It really depends on what professors you have too. Is it hard not to compare your art to others in college? So far, foundation year, which is freshman year, it's not hard to not compare, as in like I don't compare myself very often because you're in a classroom with all of these students, but we all do such different things. You could be with like a sculpture major and like a painting major and like a textiles major, and I'm an illustration major, so like all these different majors are coming together doing different things. So it's not that hard to understand like, oh, well, they're doing something I can't do, but it's totally cool because they may not be able to do something I can do. I think once you get into your majors, which I will be next year, it may be a bit more difficult not to compare yourself because of the way foundation year is set up where they mix everyone together. It definitely helps you like appreciate more than compare. Do you do work study? So work study, if you guys aren't aware, is working while studying at RISD. They have like job opportunities and stuff. I personally don't do that because YouTube is my job, so I don't really have time for another job. Also, I'm really happy that YouTube is my job because it's something I enjoy doing. How often do you pull late nights completing art projects? I think this is really dependent on the person. I personally have only pulled like maybe 3 all-nighters all year. I've still also during all these all-nighters gotten at least 1 hour of sleep, so it's not technically an all-nighter. I try to plan things out really easily, and if I am doing things last minute that I know I will not finish, I'll get really anxious and not be able to like do anything at all. So I try to get things done like a day ahead of time, unless I like absolutely know it's something that I'm going to be able to finish in time. So I just try to finish things and plan ahead. I don't pull too many all-nighters. Okay, can you imagine yourself doing something without art in it? What could it be? So I kind of talked about this before, but basically I think if I didn't do art, I'd be a doctor, or I'd be doing something in the medical field just because that is something that interests me and science interests me a lot. But it's definitely not my passion. Art is my passion, so I'm very thankful to be able to be here. What's crit like? So crit is really dependent on your professor. I have some professors that time it so everyone gets like 15 minutes and then we just move on to the next one. I have some professors that just let you linger, and if like people end up talking about your work for 5 minutes, then sucks. And if they end up talking about your work for an hour, then like good for you, you know? Crit isn't as harsh as you think it is, at least for freshman year for me. Everyone's been surprisingly nice. I thought everyone would like rip each other apart, but we really don't. Are your school projects super structured, or do you have a lot of freedom with each piece? So this also is really dependent on your professors. I've had a professor that made us do gouache squares, and that was basically the least amount of freedom I've ever had for a project, where we had to make gouache squares. We would take gouache, we would paint, and then we would cut them into 1 inch by 1 inch perfectly. She was so meticulous about this. You had to do like gradients and stuff. Like I'll insert a picture or whatever, but it was basically the craziest thing I've ever done. We had to copy like her format exactly. We just had to recreate what she told us to do. So that was no freedom at all. But I've also had professors be like, hey, make a structure that you can put outside. And like, that's it. It really is dependent on your professors. Some are super strict and then some really just let you add it. So do you have to do a lot of observational / from life drawing projects for school? Yes. RISD is really focusing on drawing from life. Like we do figure drawings where you're just drawing people from life, and like a lot of times you'll be building models and drawing from life. Drawing from pictures is something everyone can do. Drawing from life is harder because you have like perspective and stuff to balance out. So there definitely is a lot of observational drawing, but I think it's really good for you. What time do you usually go to sleep and wake up? So my routine, I usually go to sleep at 12, 1 the latest, and then I wake up around 7 and my classes start at 8. I get 7 hours, maybe 6 hours. Every once in a while I'll pass out at like 11, but usually I get 7 hours, and then on the weekends I will sleep until 10. Is going to an artistic school different compared to attending a regular high school? I mean, of course it is. Is it nice to be able to do art almost every day, or is it overwhelming after a while? I think that it's amazing because I never really get tired of it. I used to do art every day in high school, so not much has changed for me other than my projects are now more thought out and like fully developed. It's definitely nice to be able to do art every day because it's something I like doing, but I imagine that if you don't like doing art every day, you shouldn't go to a school like RISD. Which type of Copics do you use? I use sketch Copics. Yeah, I don't think I've drawn with Copics on this channel yet, but hopefully I will be able to soon. How do you find motivation to keep making art? I think it's just if it's something you really like to do, then you will always find motivation to do it. Every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, I'm so tired of art. Like in high school, like when I got tired of art, I'd be like, I'm done. And then I'd stop for like 2 days and then want to draw something again, you know? So it's just what I like to do. So in my free time, I would normally be doing it anyways. So being able to do it and get a good grade for it is always a plus. Is RISD cutthroat? I think it can be if you hang around the specific groups of people that are, but I think for the most part, everyone's very appreciative of all the art. And if you put in your effort and people can see that you put in your effort, it will be well received. It's not so cutthroat in terms of like, I can't trust my friends because they're gonna steal my ideas and stuff like that. That doesn't happen to me, at least. And also everyone's doing different things, so it's really hard to be cutthroat when you are talented in different aspects. Are students assigned a lot of homework? Yes, it will be a lot more than you expect, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it's a lot, and you realize that it is. However, it's totally manageable, it's totally doable. Every once in a while you'll get like an insane project and you're gonna have to work the entire week on it, but it's not like that every single day. I'm getting ready to start college next year, art major. Any tips about classes / life / room? My only tips are bring art materials that you know you like using because you probably will end up using them somehow. It's really important to have the things you like using with you in case you ever get to. Also, bring clothes you can get dirty. Did you ever feel pressured to change your art because of applications? I'm feeling that right now. The way I approached applications is I did tailor each portfolio to each college that I applied to. However, I didn't do things that I didn't like to do. So for RISD, I tailored it more to like realism depictions and things like that, and showing skill, but also creativity, because I knew that was like what they seemed to be interested in. At least when I went to portfolio day, that's what they seemed to be interested in my stuff. I mean, I did change my art because of applications, but I didn't change who I was. So at no point was I like, I'm gonna make this only because I know they like it because I want to get in. Like, you should definitely still be doing art that you like and you would like to continue to do, you know? Like, don't change yourself for a college application. Favorite college aspects? I really like the freedom that you have. I think it's nice. And also, it teaches you a lot about like how to take care of yourself, for sure. How is it on your first day of school? And how do you finish homework on time? I genuinely don't remember my first day of school very much. My first day of school was spatial studio, and it was really weird because I realized that you're gonna do things that you're not gonna be the best at and it's not what you're comfortable with, but you'll still find a way to enjoy doing them, you know? How often do you spend time with classmates / RISD friends? Or do you enjoy doing your own things? So for my classmates, well, I see them for like 25 hours a week because we have studio for 8 hours and we have 3 studios a week. As for my RISD friends, we all like working separately for the most part. Sometimes we work together, but I think for the most part we enjoy doing our own things. So I see them every day for like a meal or two, and then sometimes we'll work together. I spend about as much time with my friends as I did in high school, so my life has been about the same social-wise, which I enjoy. How do you cope with school stress? So I like to take my mind off of stress, so when I do get super stressed, I like go to the gym or something like that, and that usually helps me quite a bit. Just working on myself and like feeling better and feeling productive in different ways other than getting schoolwork done is definitely very, very helpful. How do you deal with missing your parents? I definitely do miss my parents all the time. I find it pretty easy to deal with it because, to be honest, I'm super busy. Like, really busy, right? Because I have so many things to balance and time is really hard to come by. When I do miss my parents, I mean, I just FaceTime them. I talk to them quite a bit. I update them on my life. We text pretty often. We have a group chat and I just send like random updates. I also get to see them pretty often because I go home for every single break. So every like month or two, I get to see my parents for a week. If you don't live in the States and it's harder to fly home for breaks, I imagine it'd be much harder missing your parents and stuff. But for me, since I live in the States and I'm literally still on the East Coast, it's only like a 3-hour flight back home. Do you get lonely? I think it's hard for me to get lonely because I do have my friends, and then I have schoolwork a lot of times, and I'm busy, and sometimes you just need to do things by yourself. I found it more easy to appreciate alone time now that I'm in college, because you need to be by yourself sometimes to get things done, and that's okay. And also, when I don't want to be lonely, I'm in a long distance relationship, so we're almost always on FaceTime. So that also keeps me not lonely. So when I want to be by myself, I am by myself, but when I don't want to be, I always have the option to not be. How to get around places. So I got a request specifically to talk about my penny board, and I'm not quite sure why, because I don't think there's much to talk about it, but this is my penny board. It's 22 inch, very small, and here's the back. This is how I get around places when they're close by, but a little bit too far to walk, but you don't want to call an Uber. A lot of times I do use Uber, like to get from the airport and back here, I call Uber. If I want to go somewhere far, I call Uber, but if I want to go somewhere close, like Whole Foods or like whatever, I take my board and I skate there. I'm not the best skater, for sure. I barely skate, but I'm good enough to get around places, so yeah. A lot of people also get around on bikes and scooters and stuff, but to go to classes, you can just walk. Like, classes are like 2 minutes away, so you just walk. What is the biggest amount you've ever paid for a project? I genuinely don't remember, but I'm thinking about my design project that I just did, the book one, that I'm actually planning on making a video soon, and that one took, let me think. So the book board costs virtually nothing. That costs like $5. And then the fabric costs $60, so $65. The printing costs another $60, so that's $120. And then some bits and pieces probably cost like me all the way up to $200. So I think $200 was how much that book project cost. Costs definitely depend on yourself. Professors very rarely will tell you exactly what to use that's expensive. I've only had one professor make us use Winsor & Newton gouache, which is pretty pricey for most people. I happen to have a lot of it already because I really like Winsor & Newton, but like those are like, they can go up to like I think $20 or $30 a tube maybe of like this much paint. Definitely can get pricey. I don't think anything I've made has gone over $300 that I can think of, and very rarely do I even have to like spend that much money. That's like because I care, you know, like I could have easily made the same project like much cheaper. What's around RISD? I'm going for pre-college. RISD, there's Thayer Street, which is walkable, and that's in between RISD and Brown, and they have a lot of food places. And then there's also, that's pretty much it. Thayer is one of the only places. There's also downtown. RISD's a pretty quiet area, not in terms of like actual noise, but in terms of what to do. But it's not like dead, you know, so you'll still be able to like entertain yourself. I joined RISD pre-college end of June till early August. Will you be there around that time? I really wish I could meet all of you going to RISD pre-college. I've gotten a lot of questions about whether I will be here or not. Sadly, no, I won't be here. I will be moving out because there's no way for me to even be here because you guys are literally taking my dorm. Like when you guys come for pre-college, you are taking the freshman dorms a lot of the times. No, I won't be here. I will also be on summer vacation, and so just a preface, if you guys see my videos after May and I'm still in this dorm, I'm not actually in this dorm. I am traveling and all my videos have been pre-recorded so I don't have to work while I'm on vacation. So yeah. How intense is the workload, and is it possible to have a job for extra money on the side? A lot of my friends have extra jobs. It's totally doable. You will have to find a job that's flexible with hours at RISD. However, RISD also has a lot of jobs to offer you, so you can totally get a job if you need a job or want a job. How do you create original work for college assignments? So college assignments make it really hard for you not to create original work because they give you very weirdly specific prompts that are really hard to find elsewhere, so you kind of just think about it. Also, the limited amount of time you have really just makes you think really, really fast. And those are all the questions I'm gonna answer. I'm so sorry if I didn't get to your questions. I know I got a lot of questions about RISD this time. These are all the questions I could fit into this video because this video is already getting really, really long. I wanted to just make this video really quick for everyone who has questions about RISD. If you got into RISD for year 2023, congratulations, so happy for you. RISD is totally doable, not as bad as everyone makes it seem to be, and you shouldn't be too scared, so. I hope you guys enjoyed this video though. If you have any further questions, please leave them down in the description. And like I said, I have my portfolio video linked, and I also have a bunch of other videos that I made about RISD. I've made a lot of videos in the past few months since I've gotten here. With that being said, I will see you guys later. So stay hydrated, take a nap, and I will see you when I see you. Bye! But I think, oh my god, they're so loud. Dude.